When I first started Scream the series on Netflix, I did not expect much, but the first season was pretty decent. Well, I just finished the second season, and I gotta say, I was even more entertained. It was definitely worth the watch. Season 2 of Scream the series. So basically this series kind of picks up where we left off in the first season, but it's a few months later. I feel like I can't remember entirely. I started this season about 3 weeks ago and finished it about a week and a half ago. But from what I remember, it picks off pretty much right where we left off, and now one of the characters, one of the survivors of what they're now calling the Lakewood Six, which are the survivors of the first murders, well, one of these survivors is now getting basically haunted by a new killer, getting threats, calls, messages. And what was funny about this season is nothing picks up for Emma until almost like maybe 6 episodes in, which was almost halfway through. So I thought that was kind of crazy, and this is all because of something that happened in the past, and now this character is trying to basically act like everything's cool, hide what's going on, but really there's another killer on the loose. It knocks off a couple people before anyone even finds out about this new killer, and then eventually around halfway through the season it picks up, and it's the same thing as pretty much season 1, where they're trying to basically figure out the murders and solve what's going on. I'm not really quite sure why, but this season reminded me a lot of Scream 2, the movie, but it really isn't similar in any way, so I'm not sure why. Just the tone, I think it was the whole party episode and just a couple other things that happened, some of the ways how some of the kills happen, and just some of the scenes just seemed a little more clever and reminded me a lot of the second Scream, which is my favorite of the series. I really liked the way that this season was done. I actually liked this season even more than the first season. I really liked the way that they didn't, like I said, they didn't really pick up with Emma until halfway through. They didn't have her start getting calls from the killer. She suspects there's another killer, but no one really believes her, and a lot of people think it's just because of traumatic history that's happening, and they don't think there's anything actually there until they all start experiencing it. There's a lot of like chasing around in this season, which I really liked. You know, if you know what I mean, like not chases with the killer, but just they have to run all over town to solve certain things. They're just kind of running back and forth to save certain people's lives. It reminded me a lot of Saw, actually, in many ways, which I thought was really interesting. Now, just like the first season, this season is TV-14. This entire show is TV-14 so far. Can I ask why? Okay, The Walking Dead has a lot of gore in it, and that's what made it TVMA. There's kind of a lot of language compared to the show like this, but still, I'm not quite understanding why Scream the series has a TV-14 rating. Some of the shit in this season was straight up brutal. There was a couple kills where I couldn't even believe how much blood there were. For a show on MTV that's TV-14, that's crazy. I didn't really talk about this much for the last season review, but it's something I really should have discussed because, yeah. It's funny though, because then at the same time, there's not a whole lot of language. Like there's one part where one of the characters says, "Screw you," and I'm thinking, that's not how you'd react in that situation. You would drop the real thing right there. So a lot of the it kind of toned down the language, and it does have that still. The second season has that cheesy and campy feel that reminds me a lot of Degrassi. So I can see why it's TV-14, because it doesn't, although it's pretty bloody, it doesn't really carry that overall mood or have any like the language, anything like that. So I guess that makes sense. But even though it's very cheesy at times, I was still able to move past that and enjoy this season for what it was. Now, a lot of people had a lot of complaints about this season because it was 12 episodes as opposed to, I think it was 10 the previous season. People were complaining about this because they said there was a lot of filler. And to an extent, I can see what people mean, because like I said, the first half of the season really no one is experiencing anything from the killer except for one character. I can see people mean by the filler, but I honestly wasn't bothered by it until I was on Reddit and I was reading a lot, people saying there was a lot of filler, which I didn't really pick up on that. I didn't think there was a whole lot of filler. I thought this season honestly had less filler than the first season, but that's just my opinion. I just thought this was a pretty good season for the most part. Now, before I move on to any of this end stuff, talk about the reveal or anything like that, let's talk a little bit about the characters. So we have all the old survivors, all the old characters that we had before, and I'm not going to talk about specifically who those are, just to not give any season 1 spoilers. But anyway, we have these new characters. And the thing about these new characters that I really liked is I actually liked them. Usually when I start a new season of a show and they introduce characters, or I see a new movie, like the Scream series for instance, I'm not a big fan of the new characters. Scream 2 and 3 was kind of that way. Scream 4 I really liked the characters. But what I liked about season 2 of Scream is that they were really able to bring new characters to it. We have Sabo, Eli, and why am I forgetting the name of the girl? There's a new girl on the show. I don't remember her name. Anyway, and they were all great characters. I really liked Eli and Stavo. They tried to make him seem very, very suspicious at times, so we kind of wonder, is it this guy, is it this guy, or maybe it's someone completely different. It kind of throws us off a lot. But these two are really interesting. Stavo is kind of, he's obsessed with drawing murder, and he draws a lot of the stuff, all the murders that happened before, and people start getting suspicious about him for that. And then Eli, who's just moved here, who is actually Kieran's cousin, one of the other characters, but they throw him in there and he just seems very suspicious. He tries to pull Emma away from Kieran and all kinds of stuff like that. Him and Kieran have a big rivalry. You can tell there's a lot going on back there, so that kind of raises your suspicions on both ends. But overall, I really loved the new characters. Now let's talk about episode 13 and 14 of this season. Yes, there's the 13th and 14th episode, and I was very confused because I saw this on Netflix. So I finished episode 12, and I was like, all right, sweet. That seemed like a finale, but I have 2 episodes left. Awesome. No, not at all. It was a Halloween special. Basically, when they aired this, they finished season 2, and then a couple months later, they did a Halloween special. Kind of like what Zoe 101 did a while back, if you know what I'm talking about. They would kind of, even if the season wasn't currently on, they would sort of throw in a Halloween special, which was always kind of fun. But that's what they did here, and I was not a fan of this special. I honestly wanted to give season 2 a lower rating because I thought the special was just so useless, besides the opening scene and the end scene. But I'm not going to let that affect my review, because to me, that's not even part of season 2. It's completely different. I see it more as a TV movie in between 2 and 3. So I'm not going to include that, but overall, wasn't a big fan of that. It just seemed kind of like, it seemed more like teen and campy than anything else on the show. Did not feel like the Scream series that I had known and watched to this point. Let's talk about the reveal. That was dumb. I loved the reveal in this season. I don't know if I liked it quite as much as the first season, but it was still really great. The only complaint I do have, and now I'm not going to say who the killer is, but minor spoilers coming ahead. I didn't like how there wasn't 2 killers. Season 1 didn't do it, and I was like, okay. But season 2, why wasn't there 2 killers? I thought it'd be really cool, and I think I know exactly who I would have wanted for both killers, and because of who they had as the main killer, I know exactly who I would have wanted to be the second killer, so yeah, I was a little disappointed with that, but other than that, I really loved the reveal, I loved the motivation, I loved who they had as the killer. I didn't expect it at all. Just like I did with the season 1 review, I'm going to compare this to the other movies. So this season, I liked way better than 3, which I also liked the first season way better than 3. 3 is kind of garbage, but I liked this season better than Scream 4. Now, I'm about to do my review, and people who see this are probably going to be a little bit upset because of how high I'm going to rate this, but the thing is, I'm taking it for what it is. I didn't expect to like the show at all, and I figured it would just kind of ruin my favorite franchise, which in many ways, it's predictable. There's a lot of problems with it, but it still lives up to the Scream name, so I'm going to give it an A-. So I like this one much better than the first season. I really enjoyed it, but of course, I won't get my 3rd season. I just started the show, and now I won't even get a 3rd season. Basically, the deal with season 3 is there's some new news that came out. Basically, they don't even know if it's going to be the same cast. It will turn into an anthology series. I don't even know. I'm going to have a whole video on that next week, so I'm not even going to get into it all about season 3. But basically, the bottom line is most likely the cast won't be returning. So they won't be continuing the storyline, which it sucks. I really loved season 1 and 2, but I don't see why they couldn't have wrapped it up. But anyway, I'm going to talk about that in my next video where I talk about season 3, so I won't even get into that. That's all I have to say about that little thing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video, comment on the video, and tell me your thoughts and your feelings. And last week I asked the question, what is your favorite horror TV show? This is my personal favorite. Yes, Friday the 13th, the series. I'm completely kidding. That show doesn't even have anything to do with Jason as far as I know. My actual favorite horror series would probably be Stranger Things. Even though it was only 1 season, that show was good. Very excited for season 2. Anyway, this week's question is just simply, if you saw Scream the series, which one do you like better, 1 or 2? If you haven't seen Scream the series, well, I don't have any other questions, sorry. Anyway guys, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. That really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.